There is a long list of anomalies that indicate our moon is not a naturally occurring object, but a manufactured artifact. In this episode of The Logical Show we would know the facts that says the moon is actually the artifact created by the extraterrestrials. The moon is exactly 1/4 size of the sun, and there's exactly 1/4 distance between the Earth and the sun, making it perfectly positioned for solar eclipses. No other planet in our solar system has this kind of relationship. Is the positioning coincidence? Or someone trying to make us look at the moon and wonder? The moon is roughly 1/4 the size of the Earth, making it highly unlikely that such a huge satellite could be gravitationally captured at all, let alone in the unique orbit it is. No other planet in our solar system has a moon so large in proportion to its host planet. Before the moon was in place, Earth was turning on its axis every 2 hours, spinning too fast to hold an atmosphere, or water, or sustain life. The moon's gravity has acted as a brake, to slow Earth's rotation down. The moon's orbit is a near-perfect circle, and the only distortion in that circle coincides perfectly with the Earth's slight wobble as it turns on its axis. Other moons orbiting other planets have elliptical, not circular orbits. The moon is 3.66 times smaller than the Earth, but is only 1/81st the weight of the Earth, meaning its mass is extremely low for its size, and indicating it may be hollow. During the Apollo missions, one of the lunar modules was crashed into the moon, and in the words of data analyst Kim Johnson, the moon rang like a bell, for hours. Johnson also noted that the moon wobbled, in such a precise way that it was almost as though it had gigantic hydraulic damper struts inside of it. Also, seismometers placed on the moon's surface recorded that the vibrations did not pass through the moon's core, as if its core was hollow. Carl Sagan said, "A natural satellite cannot be a hollow object." Seismometers on the moon have recorded moonquakes where there should be none, because the moon has no tectonic activity. Moon rocks have been found to contain processed metals, such as brass, mica, and the radioactive elements uranium-236 and neptunium-237, which have never been found to occur naturally. Uranium-236 is a nuclear waste found in spent nuclear and processed uranium, while neptunium-237 is a byproduct of nuclear reactors and the production of plutonium. Moon rocks are made mostly of titanium, as are spaceship hulls of our spaceships, anyway. Moon rocks contain 10 times as much titanium as titanium-rich rocks on Earth, indicating the moon rocks could not have come from here. Titanium is an extremely rare and valuable metal on Earth, begging the question, why are we not mining it from the moon? Could it be that NASA has been warned off the moon, as many artificial moon theorists postulate? Why have we not been back to the moon since Apollo missions? Why are we now talking about sending people to Mars, when sending them back to the moon would be a lot easier, and building a base there would make traveling to Mars a lot easier? Why do we have a space station when building a lunar base would have been easier? Lunar rocks have been dated as nearly 1 billion years older than the Earth, so there's no way the moon could have split off from the Earth. Even more puzzling is that the lunar rocks are covered with dust 1 billion years older than the rocks themselves, indicating that the dust originated elsewhere. Was the dust added to the moon to help disguise it? The moon does not appear to ever have had any water on it, as none of the moon rocks, regardless of location found, contain free water or even water molecules bound into the minerals. Yet on March 7, 1971, instruments left behind by the Apollo missions detected a wind of water vapor that swept across the moon's surface for 14 hours. There is no scientific evidence that the moon is, or ever has been, volcanically active. Yet much of the moon's surface is covered by Maria large seas of smooth solidified molten rock. The strangest thing about these Maria is that at the exact center of each one, 20 to 40 miles below the surface, is a large, dense, circular disk called a mascon. No one knows exactly what the mascons are, but they are dense enough to disturb the orbits of spacecraft orbiting above them. In other words, much denser than the surrounding moon rock, and too perfectly round, and too perfectly positioned in the exact center of each Maria, for them to be naturally occurring phenomena. Shapiro, of Harvard, and the Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics, says, the best possible explanation for the moon is observable error. It doesn't exist. Our moon is bigger than it should be, apparently older than it should be, and much lighter than it should be. It occupies an unlikely orbit and is so extraordinary that all existing explanations for its presence are fraught with difficulties, and none could be considered remotely watertight. Well, we know we didn't build the moon, so the question remains, who did build it, and why? My personal favorite theory is that ETs built the moon either in its current orbit, or they could have flown it in from across the galaxy, to act as a gravitational brake, possibly the first step in a long process of terraforming to slow the Earth's spin, and make the Earth habitable. Whether it was to make it habitable for us, or habitable for them, is a question I can't answer definitively. Did they just seed life here, and then fly away? Or did they stay here for thousands, or even millions of years, before they had the idea of creating humans, and then stay and guide our genetic, cultural, and technological development for a good long while, before flying away? Based on all the research I've done, I lean towards the second hypothesis, but the first cannot be fully discounted. At the very least, I do not believe it's possible that humans evolved through Darwinian processes. The evidence to support Darwin's theory is sketchy, at best. There is much more evidence for anyone willing to do a little research, and keep an open mind, that humans are the direct descendants of ETs, or were created by them via genetic engineering. There's just one problem with the moon as a gravitational brake theory. Certain Native American tribes have legends recalling a time when there was no moon. Clearly, if the moon was required as a gravitational brake to make the Earth's surface habitable, then there couldn't be humans on the surface to write about there being no moon. I have to admit, I don't know how to resolve this paradox, unless maybe the Indians who wrote this were living on Mars at the time to raise plenty of evidence that Mars was inhabited, in the distant past. Len Kasten, in the book Alien World Order, alleges that millions of years ago, when the reptilians first came to our system, they colonized Venus first, then built/flew in the moon, because it was more convenient to colonize Earth from there, than Venus. This explanation makes even less sense to me than the gravitational brake theory, because the reptilians used FTL faster than light travel to get to our system, and any species with FTL technology could get from Venus to Earth in seconds. Even after all the research I've done, I'm still frustrated that I don't have a satisfactory answer to the questions: who built the moon? And why?